Good afternoon, Rotarians, guests, and friends. Welcome also to those on Zoom. We are very excited about our program today, held in the Continental Room of the Hilton Netherland Plaza. A special greeting again to Marita Wade and our members who are on Zoom. We are very glad that you have been flexible and have adjusted your schedule to be able to be with us today. We will begin with the national anthem, followed by the invocation and four-way test led by Jane Burkett.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Those high notes were a little scary. Please pray with me. We are thankful for this day that you have given us, for its blessings, its opportunities, its challenges. Let us pray for our sister city, Kharkiv, in Ukraine, and all of the Ukrainian people who face challenges we will never know. Let us continue to pray for strength and guidance for each day as it comes, for each day's duties, each day's problems, and maybe solutions. May we be thankful for the opportunities given to us as Rotarians in our communities to give our best always, and may we be assured of your presence with us. Let us always remember our service above self purpose to better our community. Thank you for 3CDC, an organization that has shaped and reformed our city to become a tourist destination point. Challenge ourselves to make 2022 a year of success through our service projects, 100 years of Camp Allen, Jefferson Award, commitment to Condon School, stepping stones, and to our international commitments. Amen. And now for the things we think, say, and do as Rotarians. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you very much, Jane. Next, we will hear from our Sergeant at Arms today, Kelly Collison. Following Kelly will be Gary Walton of Cincinnati Type Print Museum. our meeting sponsor for today's program. So first Kelly and then Gary.
Thanks, President Melinda. We'd like to welcome our guests today. Alex Coons, if you'd please stand so we can give you a round of applause and welcome you. Alex is from Upspring, and he's a guest of Rick Flynn. We welcome Bob Sheard from Instant Test Prep, a guest of Stephanie Sheard. We welcome Colleen Houston from Artworks, guest of Steve King. And we welcome Ron Hauk, also from Artworks, guest of Steve King. Welcome Nancy Tilton Hand from Tilton Seminars, a guest of Steve King. And Will Hand from Formica with Steve King.
Once again, it brings me before you to give you tidings from the good people of Price Hill. In case you don't know it, I'm Gary Walton. I'm the founder of the Cincinnati Type and Print Museum, located in, yay, okay. You've heard me speak before. You heard me speak before. The museum stands on 3 pillars. Today, I want to talk about pillar number 3, which is giving the people of Price Hill and also anywhere in Cincinnati a second chance. On the screen, to your left would be Olivia, and in the middle is Sarah. 9 months ago, Sarah was in the hospital. She had overdosed and she almost died. And she said a prayer that God would help her fight this addiction and get off of heroin and all the other evils that go with it. And as she finished her prayer, up on the screen popped Olivia, because 2 months before that period, Spectrum News decided to do a special documentary on Olivia and how she broke the cycle of addiction through working at the museum, but also through Block Ministries. And Sarah saw that, and she cried. Literally 1 hour later, her father walks in, hands her a piece of paper, and says, I've heard about this organization called Block Ministry that has a great Redeem program to change people's life, and they have this museum where you can work and they get paid. You were going to sign up for this. Today, Sarah is our best poet. We have printed many of her poetry, and actually hope to do a book later on of all her poetry. If this intrigues you and you think you'd like to climb in the bucket with us and help people get out of poverty and help stop addiction, see us at the table afterwards. And as my grandmother always said, when you leave a group, say something good. So here it is. Keep pressing on. Get it? Get it? Keep pressing on. Well, I'm not done. Keep pressing on to the calling God has given each one of you. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Gary. Next, we have member introductions. We have 2 or 3 new members to be introduced today. The Rotarians doing the introductions. We have 2. Will be Bill Shula and Dan Long. So Bill Shula, if you would come up and introduce our new member, and Dan Long, if you would be ready for our second new member introduction today.
All right, good afternoon. I want to introduce you Katie. Katie is our 2021 National Jefferson Award winner, and she has become our member. Katie has a Master's Social Work Administration from the University of Cincinnati and a bachelor's degree in psychology from Marshall University. She's licensed clinical social worker in the state of Ohio and is certified trauma-informed trainer, evaluator, and was a consultant for the Teaching Family Model. Prior to founding Found Village, formerly Village, in 2015, she worked as a behavioral support consultant and behavioral management for the Children's Home in Cincinnati for 9 years. Katie has extensive expertise overseeing and supporting the integration and implementation of fidelity models into schools and treatment programs serving the city's most vulnerable young people. She resides in Fort Thomas with her husband and 3 children, ages 7, 9, and 14. Katie's work with Found Village is framed by her personal experience of living in a detention center for a year as a teenager at age 15. Found Village's mission is to empower teens from hard places to reach their full potential. Found Village is in the business of dismantling barriers that keep youth from thriving, mobilizing young people out of the generational poverty and instability. They are impacting lives in a great way in our city. So welcome to Rotary Club Cincinnati.
Thank you.
Here is what I was hiding from you. There's your one. You get right in the middle. There you go. All right. Okay, all right. There it is.
And up to the main platform here is Matt Nephew. Matt is currently a commercial insurance agent at Liberty Mutual. Matt's grandfather, Ed Maraska, was the former director of the Cincinnati Zoo and was an active member of the Rotary Club for over 20 years. Matt will become a legacy member and hopes to provide many years of community service, just like his grandfather did, throughout his tenure as a Rotarian. Before joining the Rotary Club, Matt's background includes several years of community service at Xavier University. Matt participated in the Rubber Duck Regatta, aiding in the fight against child hunger, helped staff the Hamilton County Special Olympics, and participated in the annual Buddy Walk, being part of Devin's team, benefiting the Down Syndrome Association of Greater Cincinnati. Matt was also a 4-year varsity athlete at Xavier, where he earned both a scholarship for athletics and academics. He was on the Dean's List of the All Big East academic team and the President's List, receiving 4-point semesters in college. In athletics, Matt was a Big East finalist in freestyle and backstroke events. A 3-time Big East champion, was part of the school's first ever Big East championship during Xavier's inaugural season in 2014. Professionally, Matt works with small commercial businesses on their holistic property and casualty plans. Matt is a multi-President's Club member within the commercial insurance sector of Liberty Mutual. In 2021, he became the first sales representative to sell over 3,000 policies in a single year, a mark that has never been achieved in the company's 100-year history. Matt also led the small commercial sector of Liberty Mutual, writing $2.5 million worth of written premium during the calendar year. Outside of work, if you believe there is an outside of work for Matt, he recently purchased his first home in Montgomery. Does it have a swim pool in the back? Not yet. Okay, he's working on a swim pool in the back. He enjoys running the Flying Pig, home remodel projects, and spending time with his friends and family. Please give a warm welcome to our newest member of the Rotary Club, Matt Nephew. Now, another word from our Membership Development Committee. I don't know how many of you pay attention to the poster the membership development poster, but we started at 0 to start the year off, and we're up to 23, and our goal, Melinda's goal, our club's goal, is 40 for the year. So we still have some work to do here, ladies and gentlemen. And if you recall, I was up here 2 weeks ago with my green beret on and my little green lights on around my neck, promoting the Irish Heritage event that was to be held last Tuesday. And I did such a great job promoting it that we canceled the event. And it was not canceled because of lack of interest from Rotarians. It was canceled because we didn't have any prospects. A prospective member event without prospects is not a good thing. We still have 3 weeks left, though, in March to rectify the situation. First of all, this coming Tuesday, we have a breakfast at the Fix Coffee House and Bar located on McMillan Avenue in Walnut Hills. So please mark your calendar this coming Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Think about someone that you think would be a good prospect and bring them to breakfast. And then we do have 3 more meetings this month. Great meetings, great opportunities for you to bring a prospect to one of the meetings. A week from today is Answering the Call of the Wild. 2 weeks from today is the Jefferson Awards, and then the final Thursday is the guest speaker from the Cincinnati Reds. So please, I urge you, we want to get to that 40 mark. It's going to take everyone's hard work. Steve King is setting the pace here today with half the people here being guests of Steve King. But please dial someone up this afternoon and invite them to a meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan. Because of the work that we do, a lot of our hands-on service projects is what attracts members to us. So when you think about a person who would be a good Rotarian, who would abide by the 4-way test, then keep those things in mind. So not just for our Thursday Rotary meetings that you can bring others, you can bring them to our events, our coffee, afternoon and evening social hours, and to our hands-on service events. So thank you for all you do. Our announcements are as follows. As Dan mentioned earlier on, Answering the Call of the Wild, the Remarkable Life of Catherine Jose Hilker will be our speaker next week. We have several members celebrating birthdays this week. Owen Rassman was March 8th, and March 9th was Mark Giaconetti. March 10th, we have 3 birthdays on March 10th today. David Freeman, Brent Seelmeyer, and our own Executive Director, Sarah Pattison. Also, we have Steve Rogers, who's here with us today, and his birthday is March 12th. So let's give all the birthday Rotarians a round of applause. Next, we will have Split the Pot, and we will ask one of our guest speakers today, Tasha Stapleton, to pull the winning ticket. 25% goes to the winner. Everybody is eligible for the ticket draw for the first ticket winner. The accumulating pot is eligible. Members from Club 17 are eligible to receive the accumulating pot. And the accumulating pot today is worth $1,274. So the first ticket winner for draw is $49. And that ticket number, the last 4 digits are 7, 6, 2, 3. 7, 6, 2, 3. Ed Mathis. Yay, Ed. Pulling for the Queen of Hearts. Oh, King of Hearts. Lord, so close, Ed. Oh. Well, let's get prepared for next week's drawing. So the March 31st meeting, since the red opening day has been postponed, our March 31st meeting will now be a luncheon meeting. If you viewed the calendar earlier, we were going to have a breakfast meeting because of the parade, but since that has changed, so if you've invited someone, make sure you respond, follow back up with them to let them know our meeting on the 31st will be a luncheon meeting at Hyde House Studios on Spring Grove Avenue. We will hear from Cincinnati Red Hall of Fame historian Greg Rhodes, and if you've never heard him, you missed yourself a treat, so make sure you attend that event. He's a very great speaker. We will enjoy a cookout catered by Hilver's Catering and some fun cornhole games. So please make sure you send your RSVP to Christy. She will send the announcement out on Sunday as usual for that meeting as well. Rotary Euchre. The Euchre group meets once a month on the fourth Tuesday. This month, it will be held on March 22nd and will be hosted by Bob and Mary Brandstetter. Raise your hand, Barb and Mary. Thank you so much. Registration and social hour begins at 6:30, with the first deal beginning at 7 o'clock. So all are invited to attend. The cost is $5 per player, and monies will be distributed to the first, second, and third place winners. And as always, please bring a snack or a sweet treat to share with others, and whatever your choice of beverage is. Don't forget to bring quarters in case you are euchred. Please see Jeff Weir to sign up. Is Jeff here? There's Jeff right over there. So if you would like to sign up, please sign up with him online or just let him know in person. Now I'd like to have our new executive director, Sarah Pattison, and our office manager, administrative office manager, Christy Shushek, to please come up. Let's give them a round of applause as they make their way up to the stage. We'd like to recognize these two lovely ladies and who help us out. All of our meetings, all of the setups, the speakers, all of the logistics are done by these two. And just like to recognize them today. Okay. Of course, they're doing their job at the office. They have the envelopes for each other that I've asked them to. And so we're recognizing them because, as I mentioned earlier, today is Sarah Pattison's birthday. So let's give her a round of applause. Happy birthday. And last week, we talked about Christy's 12 years working and being a wonderful administrative assistant and now administrative office manager for the Rotary Club of Cincinnati. So thank you for 12 years, Christy. Family of Rotary. It's with a heavy heart that I share the passing of Rotarian Al Conscious's wife, Janice. Some of you may have gone to the visitation. Our office staff placed the information in the family e-raise section and placed it online. She passed away peacefully on March 6th. So if you could please keep Al and his family in your thoughts and prayers. As well, our Rotarian Cheryl Parker from AAA, corporate member. Her mother passed away as well, Ellen Adams. If you could please keep Cheryl and her family in your prayers as well. Remember to please read the E-Raise family news, family section. All of the information, whether it's positive, negative, good or bad, if you would like to share it, that information goes into that section of the E-Raise. So please read your E-Raise. And if you have any information that you'd like to share with fellow Rotarians, as we are a family, please contact the office. Also note that make sure that we get permission from you. There's some information sometimes if people are grieving and that they're going through that they want to be private, so sometimes you may not see information there. So if you have information that you'd like for us to know about, please contact the office, Sarah or Christy, and we will place it in the Rotary Family News in the E-Rays. Again, next week, our meeting will be answering the call of the wild, the remarkable life of Catherine Jose Hilker. And also, let me make these announcements for our meetings this afternoon so you can know. Our Board of Directors will be meeting in the Julep Room after this meeting. Our Hands-on Service Committee will be meeting in Boardroom 3 on the mezzanine level, and our New Member Project Committee will meet right here in the Continental Room after this meeting is over. Now we will have our program introduction today by Doug Bolton.
Thank you, President Melinda. The work of the Cincinnati Center City Development Corporation is so big and so important to our community that we not have just one speaker today. We have two speakers talking about this organization. Our second speaker is our very own new Rotarian, Tasha Stapleton. Tasha is a West High grad. She got her marketing and business administration degree from Miami University, started her career at Philip Morris, negotiating contracts, advertising contracts, holding people accountable for the dollars that they would submit to essentially bill Philip Morris. Then she went on to work in the cruise-related industry, working for a company called Onboard Media, which produced shopping guides. So she worked with the Princesses, the other cruise lines and partners on making the experience for cruise passengers better. And then in 2016, she joined 3CDC as a director, as a manager of advertising and sponsorship. And then in 2022, she was promoted to Director of Sponsorship and Sales at 3CDC. So we'll hear from her in a few minutes. First, though, we get the pleasure of hearing from Joe Rudemiller. Joe is a 2002 Elder grad, went on to one of the best journalism schools in the nation at Ohio University, got his journalism degree, started his career as a sports writer up in Massillon at the Massillon Daily Paper, then formed his own communications company, worked for himself for a few years, and then in 2014, decided to join a fairly new organization, 3CDC, as their communications officer. And he's been with that organization since that time, was promoted in 2016 to oversee all of 3CD's communications. And then in 2019 was promoted to the vice president level at 3CDC. So if there's someone in our community that really knows what 3CDC is doing, where it's been, what it's up to, how it's positioning itself in our community, it is Joe Rudemiller. Let's give a warm Rotary welcome to him.
Good afternoon. It's great to be here with you all, and thanks for having us. Going to go through, just give you kind of a high-level overview of the organization here, and just so I know the clicker here. Good. Sorry. There we go. So 3CDC, for those of you who don't know, we're a nonprofit, full-service real estate development firm, and we were formed in 2004 by the corporate community as well as the leadership of the city at the time, and we still work in great partnership with those two organizations to really focus on strategically revitalizing this urban core. Our focus area is solely in Over the Rhine and the Central Business District. And so you can see that here, the blue area, the Central Business District, as well as Over the Rhine in the red. We've also, over the past couple years, really shifted our focus to some very distinct areas within those two districts. So the Convention Center District is something that's been in the news lately. We're working on that, as well as CBD North. That would be the Court Street Plaza area, and then we've shifted our attention to over the Rhine north of Liberty, following a lot of the development that we have done over the years. Since the organization started, we've had 4 priorities, and they're the same 4 priorities that we carry today, and that is to create and manage great civic spaces. Tasha will be talking a little bit about that after I've wrapped up here. We're trying to create high-density and mixed-use developments. We want to preserve these historic structures. In Over the Rhine, it's the largest collection of Italian architecture in the nation. So we're trying to preserve those historic structures, improve streetscapes, really make downtown and Over the Rhine a welcoming spot for visitors and residents. And then we're working on creating diverse, mixed-income neighborhoods supported by local businesses. So we have a few different areas within our organization, and most folks really know about our real estate team. So that's the folks working on development. They're building the buildings, they're restoring those historic buildings, and then we're managing the property after that project is complete. And I feel like most people really know about that area of our business. But we also have a really robust event management team who does programming of all the civic spaces that we've done renovations for over the years. So Tasha is a member of that team. We do about 1,000 free family-friendly events between Fountain Square, Washington Park, Ziegler Park, and a number of other spaces throughout downtown. We also have a robust civic space and public asset management team. So they manage districts, business improvement districts, in both of those areas of downtown. And so that is a full-time staff of about 50, and then we staff up in seasonally. So the ambassadors that you may see downtown wearing the bright shirts, they're out on the street cleaning up. It's clean and safe, and it's providing directions to visitors and really trying to elevate the experience of anybody downtown. Our communications team, we deal with media relations, community relations, some marketing, as well as website design and maintenance. We have 10 websites for all the spaces that we've completed. And then we have a robust finance and administration team, because the capital stacks that are needed to put together some of these projects, the tax credits that are used for our development projects are so complicated, and as well as all the assets that we have to manage. So we have about 20 folks who do finance and administration in our organization. This is hard to see in the back, but gives you kind of a snapshot of the organizational budget. So 3CDC's corporate operating budget is about $7 million. We get $1 million from the corporations that sit on our board. And that has been from the time we were conceived and started. Those corporations have kicked in that $1 million. When we started in 2004, that was 100% of the operating budget. Today, it accounts for about 14% or so. Now we're able to get developer fees. We manage a few loan funds, and so we get fees through that. And then we also receive fees from the assets that we manage, the parking garages, the tenants that we have. And so that accounts for that. But each single entity that I mentioned earlier, Fountain Square and Washington Park, Ziegler Park, Memorial Hall, and then the 2 business districts also have their own separate operating budgets. Those are all subsidiaries of 3CDC. So when you roll everything up, there's about $19.5 million operating budget for the organization as a whole, looking at all of those assets combined. So over time, since we were formed in 2004, we've been able to invest $1.6 billion throughout downtown and over the Rhine. The bulk of that has been conventional debt and equity, just taking loans out from a bank, but also $350 million from the loan funds that we manage, some public funding from the state, city, as well as Hamilton County, and then $100 million in philanthropy, the bulk of which was actually for Music Hall. And what has that investment yielded? About 200 buildings have been restored. We've built 50 new buildings, over 1,600 apartments. 400 of those are affordable units, 600 condos. We did the 21C. We've created 3 comprehensive residential service facilities for the homeless, 1.3 million of commercial square footage, and then over 5,000 parking spaces. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the different types of real estate development projects that we've completed. So we have civic spaces, mixed-use residential, which would be street-level commercial spaces with condos or apartments above, mixed-use commercial spaces, which would be street-level commercial with office space above, and then affordable and supportive housing. So mixed-use residential developments, really these have been critical to revitalizing the urban core. And if you start at 12th and Vine, in over the Rhine, and work your way up, really what we did was take a lot of those previously vacant buildings, redevelop them, filled the commercial spaces with locally owned businesses, small businesses, and then put residents in the floors above. So the residents are kind of the built-in customer base for those businesses. The businesses are then an amenity for the residents, and it's worked out really well. So these type of projects have resulted, as I mentioned, in about 600 condos and over 1,000 apartment units. And some examples of those types of projects would be Kroger on the Rhine, which you see there, the new full-service grocery with residential above and parking as a component of that, as well as some condo projects, and Fourth and Race, another project down here in the Central Business District that we recently completed. Our mixed-use commercial developments are really focusing on that street-level activity in the urban core. Having more office users increases foot traffic, makes the street safer, there's additional vibrancy on the street, and it also helps support those locally owned businesses on the first floor of these projects. It also increases the density because you're adding more people on a per square foot basis in an office building as opposed to that residential. So I'd say the biggest example of this is a project that we're working on right now, the Foundry, which is the conversion of the former Macy's department store right across from Fountain Square. So we've fully leased up 150,000 square feet of Class A office space there, and we're going to be introducing a few new restaurant tenants coming up here. So Royce and then Jeff Ruby's Steakhouse is going to be moving to the street level of that project. One thing I wanted to touch on is that mixed-use residential piece. Really, the street-level retail tenants that we have are all small, locally owned businesses for the most part. And really, in recent years, we've placed an emphasis on increasing the number of Black-owned businesses as well as supporting women-owned businesses. And we still have some room to grow, but we're making progress. And so, out of the total 97 street-level commercial tenants that we have, 21% of those are Black-owned businesses, and 41% are woman-owned. And if you look at OTR specifically, we have 80 street-level commercial spaces, your restaurants, your retailers, your service providers. 24% of those are Black-owned, and nearly 50% of those are women-owned. So it's a continued focus of ours, and we're trying to support those communities. Affordable and supportive housing is something that has been a bigger focus of ours recently. When we started our work in Over the Rhine, home ownership was 4%. Today, through the introduction of condos and some of the projects that other developers have been able to complete, we're at about 15% home ownership in Over the Rhine. And so we've shifted our focus to creating more affordable and mixed income housing. So over the past few years, we've been able to develop 593 apartments, 70% of which are affordable units. And we also built, as I mentioned, those 3 comprehensive residential service facilities for the homeless. So that's City Gospel Mission, and then there's a men's shelter and a women's shelter that have been built over the years. I mentioned Tasha. She'll talk about these civic spaces a little bit more, but one of the things that's really important is creating and then managing great civic spaces to any thriving urban core. And so over the history of our organization, we've developed 7 of those major public spaces. So Fountain Square, Washington Park, Memorial Hall, Ziegler Park, Music Hall, Court Street Plaza, and Imagination Alley, the last 2 of which just came online in the past year. And really this has helped create new energy and bringing folks to those spaces with the programming that we do, the free family-friendly programming, adds vibrancy, it brings people to the urban core, and they support the businesses as well. The last thing I'll talk about is the area of our business, the special improvement districts that we manage. So we merged, for those of you who know DCI, that's been in existence since 1998, and essentially these special improvement districts are geographical areas where the property owners agree to assess themselves to get a level of service above what the city provides. So we do safe and clean services, social services outreach, those types of things in these 2 districts. So we merged with DCI at the start of 2019 and oversee this district down there. And then in the southern portion of Over the Rhine, a new district was formed in 2021, and we oversee that as well. One of the things that Gary mentioned, he was talking about second chance hiring, and that's something that's really important to us. So 50% of the ambassadors that we hired last year are actually from second chance programs, and we're really committed to making sure that folks are paid more than a living wage. $15 an hour is the minimum, but field coordinators are up in the $21, $22 range per hour. We provide health and insurance benefits for 100% of the cost. We have a robust 403B retirement plan and some great benefits. And then we also meet folks where they are. We have financial literacy programs. A lot of folks come to us, they have their driver's license suspended. We work with them on that. So whatever our employees need, we're there to try to help them in their personal life as well as advance in their careers. And then finally, we do social services outreach. So we have 5 outreach workers. Through COVID and the pandemic, we really saw the number of people who were panhandling and homeless increase. So we actually staffed up and added more outreach workers who are out on the street, meeting with these folks, trying to connect them with some of the great social service agencies that we have in this community. And we've been able to help dozens of folks get connected to permanent housing, to long-term employment, to substance abuse and mental health care, and so that's something that we're really focused on as well. So I think that's kind of the high level of our development and our place management, if you will, and Tasha, I think, will speak with you a little bit about the civic space and all the fun stuff that we do.
Thank you, Jill. And just so you know, I feel like I get to do the fun stuff, I really do. But I'm sure that there are many of you that you may not have the opportunity to ask someone that has the knowledge base that Joe does about the intricacies of 3CDC. We are definitely a complicated beast. I think the event stuff I'm getting ready to present, most people probably have no idea that we do these things. I also think that through COVID, myself, Sarah, who's in the back over here, wave Sarah, our mighty team of 2 for sponsorship, our entire events team actually worked out in the field, and what I mean by that was we were slinging beers at the bars and really working like behind the counters in order to help ourselves save money and make sure that our company was okay that year. And and I'm embarrassed to say this, I had absolutely no idea how much outreach that we do, especially the clean and safe staff, but also our bartenders. There were many times that we were working the bar staff or, helping clean tables at Fountain Square, where you would have an individual approach you and say like, I need help. I'm off my medication, or I need help. I don't have a place to sleep. Or quite frankly, maybe they looked like someone had just beaten them up. And what's unbelievable is that our relationship with these service providers and the Cincinnati Police Department are so strong that all we have to do is get on our cell phone and dial a number, and I promise you within minutes, someone is there doing whatever they can to try to serve that person and attempt to get them in a program. And Joe is incredibly humble. He leads a lot of those efforts, and so I would love to recognize him for that because I never understood it, so I was in the field. So thank you. Outstanding. All right, let's talk about some good stuff. Okay, so my job at 3CDC, Sarah and I, our role is to raise money so that all these fun, free things that genuinely create vibrancy, safety, they allow us to have a wonderful city to live in. We bring those to life with the funds we get through sponsorship. I have to thank all of you because the Rotary is one of our sponsors at Fountain Square. And normally I would do this presentation with your senior staff and would walk them through some of the deliverables and things that we gave you this year, but I figured, hey, why not show all of you? So we'll start with the square. First big things of the square, if you don't know this, we program over 300 events per year. You'll see that this year go to closer to 400 events a year because that little virus thing seems to be slowing down. We did over 100 events at the ice rink. I will tell you, it's one of the best things to get people out of their house when it's miserably cold because nobody wants to be outside in February, right? But we find a way to do that. And then we also, we have a fantastic number of people that park in our garages. So Joe mentioned these. We park over 2 million cars a year. We didn't do that last year. But this year, hopefully, we will. And those garages actually are a great way because we can drive traffic from when they go in the garage, they come right back up, they can salsa dance on the square and go eat at Jeff Ruby's. That's the goal. We want them to stop at our spaces, but we want them to leave and go spend their money somewhere else downtown. And so we just try to make the square as attractive as possible for that like pit stop or let's meet at the square and head out for the night. One thing that well, I'll tell you about that in just a minute, but that's Fountain Square. A couple quick things. What we worked on together was the ice rink, and the ice rink is a very heavy lift. It cost almost $400,000 just to build it and operate it for the season. So the great news is, though, that we are able to fund the rink, and thank goodness people like to drink alcohol. So it does help between the sponsorship and the drinking and admissions to pay for this puppy. But if you look right here in the corner, you will see a little girl in a yellow bumper car, and this is what you have provided us with. We have 4 different companies in Cincinnati and nonprofits that join together and are helping us fund that. Another Rotarian also is a sponsor, Brian Vilhauser, sitting in the back from Decal Impressions. He is also one of the sponsors of the bumper cars. So thank you, Brian. And again, so we got to open the rink this year. The great news is the number of skaters that we had did actually mirror the year prior. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. And then here's just some quick snapshots. For the Rotary, what we do is we have branded signage on 4 of the different bumper cars, and yours is bright yellow. These will show you some fun photos. Huday brought down a bunch of his friends, and they actually really did get into the bumper cars. And then the number 1 fan for the Bengals came down the weekend before the Super Bowl as well. So we always have lots of fun. But a couple other things you'll see if for recognition, if you go on the myfountainsquare.com website, we call you out on our bumper cars page, and then we also do tons of social media posts. And one of my favorite things is that in addition to that, your on-site signage, we have a massive tent that we store these bumper cars in, and we have a great big logo for you there, as well as any on-site signage associated with the bumper cars. You can't see this, but if you Google or look at our Google reviews, you will see that there are amazing comments, very specific about the bumper cars and how grateful people are. I don't know about you, but I've got a lot of kids, and I don't like to skate. But I will get in a bumper car, and I went 3 times this year. And it genuinely, even for adults, it's fun. It also gives us the chance to get some people out on the ice that are physically incapable of skating. And so it's a great way to get more people involved and be more inclusive, and you're part of that. These meltwater stats show you just how popular these bumper cars are. This is our earned media, not our paid media, and the numbers of impressions were fabulous this year. I did want to highlight one event. The biggest event that we host as a company every year is Light Up the Square. Last year we weren't able to do it. This year we brought it back. We had over 20,000 people show up to the square, closed down 5th Street and Vine Street. We shoot a live TV show live at the square. We had Second Wind on stage, one of my personal favorites. Q Kids were dancing on stage, and Santa Claus arrived. And then the mayor and the outgoing mayor and the new mayor both flipped the switch with their little kids to light the tree. It's a magical evening if you've never gone. It's more exciting, I would say, in person, to be nice, than it is on television. So I would come down and see it. But the big news is this, and I hope that at some point we can have an event with Rotary to do a happy hour at Fountain Square. Last year, and really you'll see every year different improvements coming in our spaces. Fountain Square is the heart of our city, and so we never stop investing in the square. 2 huge investments. Thank you to Fifth Third Bank. They gifted us a $1 million brand new LED board for the square. Bigger, brighter, better sound, better engagement, and there are opportunities for you to get messages on there. We do plug things for the Rotary, and we can do that throughout the entire year. So these things where we're trying to get members to come, we can promote that for Rotary. In addition to that, and that was a gift from Fifth Third Bank. Thank you very much. But the other thing we got was our president had the foresight to see that at Washington Park, we created a permanent space for the bar. So whether it's rain or shine, you can go enjoy a beer, and if it does start to drizzle, you don't have to run back to your car or go back home. So this year we bought a container bar, and the first day it opened, the sales immediately went up. And this year at the ice rink, last year the sales were about $80,000 at concessions. This year they were about $160,000 at concessions. It's unbelievable why just getting that structure made an impact. It cost $200,000 to buy that puppy, so it's a good thing that it worked. But there's a new space with all new furniture and lighting, and so I would love it if we could plan, a fun outing for that. And then next up, just some last quick notes. We've got, I have calendars of each space's different events, and so I can send these off to your team, and we will make sure that they are able to get you this information in your hands. Very quickly, just so you know the other spaces, we operate Washington Park. We do over 300 events a year at Washington Park. Spring, summer, fall, winter, all of it. So everything from, and there's literally something going on every single day of the week starting in April at Washington Park. Your event highlights, again, I'll send this off. This is printable so that you can see all the different things happening there. Ziegler Park serves the neighborhood children and families within the 45202 zip code primarily. We run a summer camp. We run over 500 free swim lessons to children and adults. We also have a free swim team. We have all kinds of volunteer opportunities. If you'd like to get involved, just let us know, and we'll send you this calendar too. Memorial Hall, this one is near and dear to my heart. It is the only indoor facility that we operate. It was a historic structure that's over 100 years old that was originally built for veterans. We rehabbed this in 2016 to bring it really back to just fixing repainting everything by hand and just freshening it up, but we also brought it into the 21st century by adding toilets. It's usually a good idea. And air conditioning. Probably a good idea too. But in addition to that, we do all kinds of great programming inside this space. Everything from family theater to veterans programming. We feature diverse artists on stage, and my favorite is our Women's Rise Up series. Next week, we have another concert within this series. It's only $20, so I would love to see you grab a girlfriend and for $20 show up at Memorial Hall with me. There's all kinds of great things going on at this. And then the last thing we'll tell you is Court Street Plaza and Imagination Alley were the last two places that we renovated, and both of these spaces are basically the idea behind them was to light them up brighter, showcase a ton of art, and do a lot of what we call passive programming, so that if you were walking by, you would hear nice music. Every once in a while, we might have a smaller band, but it's basically just to make the spaces more vibrant and cleaned up. And that wraps up our presentation, so we can take some questions. I think they're going to be here.
Sure.
Joe, my question for you is in regards to the affordable housing program that you did. Multiple part question. Sure. What is the rent? How are tenants chosen? Is it supply and demand? And how much demand is there for the units, and are there plans to increase this if it's?
So the rents vary based on a number of different factors, but it's primarily based on the area median income. So when we say affordable, most of the units that we're completing are available to folks making anywhere from 50 to 80% of the area median income. In Hamilton County, for a family of four, that's about $84,000. So somebody who's making around $42,000 annually would qualify for a number of these units. It's harder to get any deeper into the detail on that because it just kind of varies by project. I will say that there is certainly demand, and we're always trying to add more affordable housing. And what we believe in really is mixed income housing. So many of the projects that we complete, for instance, Wilkeman is the biggest residential project that we've ever completed in Over the Rhine. It's a $50 million project, 16 restored buildings, 4 new buildings at scattered sites throughout the whole neighborhood, 163 apartment units. 69 of those are reserved for people making 50 to 80% of the area median income. But it's not this building is all affordable. It's mixed within the same building. It's just at any one given time, 69 of those units need to be reserved for people making a certain income level. So that studies have shown that that's the best way to do affordable housing. As I mentioned, we've really shifted our focus. It's something that we're focused on with the housing that we're building, is creating more of that affordable and mixed income housing. Was there a third part of your question? I thought I hit them all. So we actually don't manage the apartment units after we finish them. We work with a lot of great operators. So over the Rhine Community Housing, POA is another one, Urban Sites, McCormick Barron. So those folks all have mailing lists, folks that are contacting them for their other properties that they manage. So that's one way. We have people contact us through our website on a regular basis, and then we refer them to those organizations to find exactly what is that right unit, where are you looking, what is your price level. So those are the primary ways that we're engaging with those folks. Yes?
Thank you, Sarah. First, I want to congratulate you on doing such an excellent job. You all are spectacular, so thank you for making a real difference in our community.
Thank you.
But my question is I know there's activity on Court Street, and I work on 4th Street, and I'm wondering, is Court Street getting to be a destination? What are your plans for that, and how will that all lay out? Because I know very little about that.
Yeah, I can let Tasha talk a little bit about the programming aspect, but I can tell you that, yes, Court Street, Plaza, the area between roughly Vine and Walnut is a spot that we've been focused on for several years. There's been about $150 million in development in just that area between the new Kroger that's been built. We've done a series of condo projects with street-level commercial spaces, getting to Tasha's point of trying to create that area where there's outdoor dining, there's positive activity happening as people are walking by. So we feel like we're slowly making progress. We opened 2 new businesses there, Pilar, which is a Hemingway-inspired bar from 4EG, as well as Mid-City, a little restaurant right there. And then, of course, Avril Blay, which is an institution here. It's been around for 125 years. They just went through renovation. So we're trying to bring more people to those businesses and fill those storefronts with small businesses to attract people. And then also layer on some programming.
Yeah. The programming there will be what we would call light, because there is a significant amount of residential on that street. And so what we don't want to do is for the residents who want to live on that street, make it all wild and crazy like we like to do at Fountain Square. And make basically not change what they liked about living on that street. And so what you'll see is we will do what we're calling it monthly programming. So we're working with Black owned, and they're curating a market that will happen once a month, 4 different times this year. In addition to that, we're gonna do, like I said, those lazy events. What that means is we're gonna do car shows so that like you can come through 5 different hours of the day in and out to like see fabulous old antique cars, but like Avril's will have he'll be cooking up sausages and hot dogs and stuff from his butcher shop outside, and then we'll have a bar so you can drink a beer and hang out and sit in the sunshine. But again, most of those will be much more low key than bringing in like a huge concert or something like that. Again, it's just to try to help that natural foot traffic walk through there. Brian.
I want to say great job with all the work that you're doing downtown. My question would be, a lot of your properties are either newly built buildings or either rehabs, fully rehabs. How are you with the commercial tenants? A lot of them are local. Mm-hmm. How are you able to walk that fine line of being able to give them rents that's affordable, or or be able to get them in there so they can last for the long run and not have a ton of turnover?
Yeah, I mean, that's very important. And actually, this really came up at the start of the pandemic when a lot of small businesses were struggling. And so at that time, what we did was gave a lot of rent forgiveness, restructured leases to make those affordable. We did a gift card matching program that raised over $700,000 to support those businesses. But really, we try to work with tenants on a case-by-case basis. We're very involved working with those individuals and meeting them where they are. So if they have a down month, we can work with them to make sure that they stay in the space, because it's a lot cheaper for us, quite frankly, to keep somebody in that space than to have it go vacant and try to then refill it. But we also want to be supportive of those small businesses. The folks that we're working with are people who are special to us and that we've formed a relationship with, and so we want to do whatever we can to uplift them and make sure that they do stay for a long time within the community.
Thank you very much, Joe. Let's give Joe and Tasha another round of applause. Excellent presentation, telling us about real estate development and also just the overall promotion of downtown Cincinnati. I have a theme pin for you today from Club 17 for your presentation. And our theme this year is Serve to Change Lives. And your example of your presentation was that to the hilt. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And we are so excited that Tasha is a new member. She just went through our communications classifications committee. So welcome, Tasha. And Joe will be joining soon, right, Joe? Joe will be joining soon. Very good. Thank you so much for being here today and for that great presentation. In honor also of your presentation, we will give a donation to Rotary International for the eradication of polio. We have several meetings again this afternoon. We have our Board of Directors meeting in the Julep Room on the 3rd floor. Our Hands-on Service Committee will be meeting in the Boardroom 3 on the mezzanine level. And our New Member Project Committee will be meeting right here in the rear of this Continental Room. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Before we adjourn, I'd like to have President-elect Steve King please stand for all the members that he brought today, prospective members. Thank you, President-elect Steve. So let's go out and let's continue to serve to change lives. Meeting adjourned.